You ever just stop and think about how fast this all goes? One day you're holding her in your arms for the first time, and the next she's holding your hand a little less tight. We talk about providing, protecting, and being present. But what about preparing her heart? What about raising a daughter who knows who she is? Not because the world told her, but because you did through how you love, lead, and live. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being rooted. Rooted in truth, rooted in grace, rooted in Christ. Because the world doesn't need another dad trying to keep up. It needs fathers willing to slow down, listen, and lead with purpose. If you're ready to grow as a father and lead your family with conviction and compassion, then you've found your place. Welcome to the Rooted Dad Podcast. Okay, if you're like me, then right now you are running around wrapping gifts, hosting dinners, juggling travel, and you're crushing it. Well, hopefully you are. But here's one more thing you can knock out like a holiday hero: your will or trust. With trust and will, the whole process is fast, clear, and online. No appointments, no stress, no sitting in an office listening to someone use words you don't even understand. Just smart, secure estate planning that fits right into your holiday hustle. I know you've got a lot going on, and there's tons of people coming to town, and you're trying to hide gifts all at the same time while not even telling your kids about Santa. Hopefully they're not listening to this and they still believe that he's real. One thing that you don't have to convince them of is what a trust or a will can do for them. I want you to go over to trustandwill.com/rooted to get 20% off your estate plan today. That's trustandwill.com/rooted. Welcome back. My name's Logan, and I am your host and founder of the Rooted Dad Podcast. Today we have a little bit of a different episode. At the time of this recording, my mom passed away about a week ago, and it's been really tough to walk through this and to experience this, but I want to honor my mom with a podcast episode. She was the biggest fan of this. She listened to everything. She would comment on random podcast episodes, and anytime she listened to an episode, she would call me immediately after she was done. And she would tell me what she thought, and she would always tell me good job. And if I can get through this episode without crying, it is a win. But I'm probably going to be a little bit emotional. So before we do anything, Mom, I love you. You were an amazing person, and this episode is for you. Let's get going. So, as I was wanting to do this episode, I started to think, what can I do? How can I honor my mom? How can I bring her to life in this episode, essentially? And as I was thinking through that and really trying to focus on what that could look like, I began to realize that there were three things that she ultimately taught me in her lifetime. And we'll go through all those. But I remember one thing that my mom was always big on was she did not want me to get hurt. I was her baby boy, and she wouldn't let me play football. She, no really big physical contact sports. I played baseball for like a year and got pulled out of that because by the time I was running to first base or anything, I was knocking over the other kids. I tried playing basketball, but I would foul out of games. I was okay. I wasn't that great at it, to be honest. But then my freshman year of high school, she let me wrestle, which is crazy, I know. But she let me wrestle my freshman year of high school. And the first match that I had, she told me that she watched the whole thing with her eyes closed. Um, but she was there to support me, right? And it's something that I will never forget, because no matter what I went through, no matter um no matter anything that happened, my mom loved me unconditionally. And she would support me through every single thing that I did, whether it was a wrestling match, a podcast, my marriage, me being a dad. There's a lot that we're going to get into with that. But that's who my mom was. She loved unconditionally, and she supported me through every single phase of my life, regardless of what it was. I mean, in college, I I went through a really bad drinking phase in college, and she was there through all of it. Um, so we're gonna talk about a lot of it, and I'm probably gonna cry, and that's okay, because it's okay for men to cry. It's okay for your kids to see how emotional you are. And during this whole process of being in the hospital with her, um, going through the funeral services, everything, reminiscing, I cried a lot in front of my kids, and that's okay. So what's the what's the first thing that my mom taught me? She was 67. Um, she lived a really good life. She did have cancer. She got diagnosed with stage 4 renal cancer right before my wife and I got married about 10 years ago. And, through her battle, it did spread. Um, and, but she was always fighting. She was always fighting. And no matter what, the first kind of lesson is she loved hard with everything, you know? Um, it didn't matter what she was going through, or who you were, or what you did. She loved you unconditionally. And it's made me a better dad. It's made me a better husband. It's made me a better person overall. There would be times that she may not know you, but you were always welcome in our home. You were always welcome to be part of our family. The amount of adopted kids that she has is absolutely amazing. Any of my friends, my sister's friends, I have another brother as well. Any of our friends that came over, if they were regulars, I guess, if you want to call it that, they were automatically adopted into our family. They were they were given food. They were given a place to stay. I mean, I had one guy who, I think in 7th or 8th grade, he had a gun in my house, and he was in a different home situation, so he stayed at our house a lot, and that was the only time that I saw my mom not want someone back in the house. However, every week she would ask, "Hey, how's he doing? Is he okay? Do you still talk to him?" "Yeah, I do, Mom." "Well, be careful." But, she always wanted to know how people were, because that was her thing. She loved people. And like I said, it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter where you came from, what you were going through. She loved you so, so much. And that's important, because I never knew how much I was like my mom until she passed away. You know, I always thought that I was like my dad, um, in the way that I talk and the way that I present things and the way that I look, let's be honest, right? But I never realized how much I was like my mom until she passed away. And, you know, because I saw her love with every fiber of her body, that's that's how I engage with my kids, that's how I engage with my wife, that's how I engage with you guys, with everyone. I love very hard. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. Um, there's no angry, there's no happy, there's just emotions, you know? Um, but it's taught me that as a father, and our kids need that from us. They need to feel loved. They need to feel um, just accepted. They need to feel valued. And my mom made me and countless other people feel that every single day. And I would really encourage. Hold on, we're gonna pause this for a second. But I would encourage you all to really figure this out of how you love your kids, how you love others, how you represent your home and open it to people when they're coming over, because your kids notice that. Your kids notice how you not only treat them but also how you treat their friends. You know, um, Harper is getting to that age now. She's my 9-year-old that she has a lot more friends coming over. She does competitive dance, all these things, right? And she understands that when her friends come over, that they're going to be safe. They're going to be loved in a sense, right? Um, and so this whole love everyone has truly come from my mom, and I thank her for showing me that, because I think in a world that we live in today where people can be judged and can be thought of as so many different things, that ultimately people just need to be loved on, you know. And my mom gave me that skill. She gave me that thing that I needed to do that. And for that I say thank you, Mom. The second thing she taught me was just be kind to everyone, no matter how you're feeling. My mom was one of the most kind-hearted people that I've ever known in my entire life. She, I mean, like I've been talking about, she would open her home to people. She would cook for people. I mean, when she was in the hospital, she unfortunately went unconscious for a little bit, and the nurses kept asking me, what is she like? If there's something on TV, and it's like she loved Colts games, she loved the Food Network, even though she never made some of the recipes, but she loved cooking. That was her thing. And, you know, her, she was never like mean to people, ever. I mean, even to her own kids, like she never like spanked us. She never we got grounded. I remember there was a time when my dad first kind of came into the picture, and I got caught stealing like $100 worth of Pokemon cards. And this was back in the early 2000s, so probably worth more today. No Charizard in there, but I got caught stealing Pokemon cards, and I remember sitting in this security guy's office and looking back behind me, my dad is pacing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. He's like, "Do you want to go home or do you want to go to juvie?" And I was like, "I want to go to juvie." um, but when I got home, I remember my mom just they sent me to my room, and mind you, this is probably a couple months after I'd like actually met my dad, so I'm like testing the boundaries hard, and I just hear them kind of fighting in the room, and the only thing I hear my mom, and in tears, is like, "You can't hit him with a belt," and I was like, "Oh shit, here it comes." I got the biggest ass whooping of my life from my dad that night, and it it hurt my mom so much because she knew that I had to be disciplined. She knew that. She knew that I had to be disciplined. She knew that I had to be reprimanded. But the kindness that she had in her heart couldn't let her do it. And that doesn't fault her as a mom. That doesn't make her a bad mom. It was just that she loved her kids so much, but she was also it was also hard for her to see us go through that, right? She wore her emotions on her sleeve. But being kind was that one thing that I could always rely on my mom for. If I had friends coming over, if I was, when she met my wife, she was the most kind-hearted person in this entire world. And it just, again, it didn't matter who you were. It didn't matter what you were going through. All that mattered was that she wanted you in a safe environment, and she wanted to know everything about you. Her first thing was like, when's your birthday? Because she wanted to get you something on your birthday, or she wanted to make sure that you were being celebrated on your birthday. But she was the most kind-hearted person ever. And as we kind of go through these teachings, essentially, or these lessons that my mom gave me, it's really made me step back and look at what kind of dad I want to be. How I want to honor her legacy as a mom, how I want to bring her to life every single day with how I'm a dad. The holidays are a time to pause, to breathe, to reflect, to appreciate what matters most. Things like your kids opening presents under the tree, sitting by the fire, being warm and nestled up around that home woven blanket that your Aunt Penny got you last year. And part of the caring for the people that you love is planning for their future. That's where Trust and Will makes things simple. Their online platform helps you create a will or a trust quickly and clearly, giving you a sense of calm and peace. I want you to have security going into the new year. There's not a better feeling. No stress, no pressure, just a thoughtful step toward protecting the people you love. Visit trustandwill.com/rooted today and enjoy 20% off your estate plan. That's trustandwill.com/rooted. It makes me think about the legacy that she's left on me. And it makes me think about the legacy that she's left on me, but more importantly, what kind of legacy I want to leave with my kids. Like, once I die, once I have left this world, what are my kids going to say about me? And I can tell you right now, the way that my mom just lived her life, she was the best mom ever, you know? She was incredible. The way that she was kind, the way that she loved, um, just every single thing about her was absolutely amazing. And I can't begin to describe that. I'm trying, and it's like I had to do the eulogy at the funeral, and I had to speak on a few things, and it's just like I don't think I can ever find the right words that would fully describe how amazing she was and how kind she was and how loving she was, because to me those words don't really do justice, at least not enough, you know. um and so maybe a podcast episode will help. I don't know. um but regardless, um this is something that is really important to me, because she just did so much for me as a kid, for me as a father now, that I'm just very thankful for that. um this last one is probably the most important lesson that she did teach me, and it was probably my favorite. um Always be happy. Always be happy, even when it doesn't seem like you can. Um, in the last probably couple years of her life, um, she went through a lot. My dad became essentially immobile, so she was taking care of my dad constantly while also trying to take care of herself. Um, she was fighting bouts of depression, which was really, um, which was really hard for me to see, because my mom was never that person, but she, for whatever reason, would let me in to see that. Obviously dealing with her cancer, she had started dialysis. Um, just those last few years were really tough on her mentally. But I can tell you right now, um, every time I talked to her, every time um, I saw her, she had a smile on her face. And whenever she got to see her grandkids, my any of them, she would light up, just light up. That is what brought her the most joy, was her grandkids. And through those last few years, like, it was just so hard on her, emotionally, mentally. It was just incredibly difficult on her. But she was happy, or at least that's what she would present to a lot of people, right? She didn't want to be that center of attention, to have everyone focus on her because of something sad, right? I was actually going through her phone after she had passed away. We were trying to find pictures and things like that, and I came across this video that I don't think anyone knew even existed, really. But it was a video on her phone of how she had just gotten done with her first radiation treatment or chemo, something like that. And I think it was a message to her dad, my grandpa. And it just said um, that she had finally gotten done with her, last treatment. And she, should be cancer free. And that all she had to do was keep it. Like, she was so happy about that, about being done, And there was still a lot of work to do. Like, she didn't know, she didn't know if it was going to be, anymore. She just knew she had to go see the doctors, right? But she was happy that it was done. She's one of the happiest people I've ever come across. And a lot of people always ask me, like, Logan, why are you so happy all the time? Why are you so joyous? What's the secret? And I've never really been able to answer that question until today. It's because that's what my mom did. Um, that's what my mom did. No matter what happened, she was happy. She was happy. Um, her smile was infectious. Um, her hugs were absolutely amazing. Um, and I know I talk about this of like teaching my kids to give really good hugs, but man, that was something that my mom did really well. But she was so happy all the time, all of the time. There was, and if she was sad, we didn't see it, at least as kids growing up. Now as an adult, anytime I got in the car, um, I would spend a lot of time over there helping both my parents with some stuff. Um, as an adult, I kind of began to realize a lot of the stuff that she was going through emotionally and mentally and physically even. And but she still like never made it seem about her being sick or anything like that. She um the last few weeks of her life, before she went into the hospital, um, she lived with my family and I. And my wife and I have been talking about that a lot, of just like how lucky we are that she got to do that, because I got to see that joy. I got to see that kindness again. And I got to see all of that love again, but from her being a grandma, not my mom. Um, she she loved living here, and if we could have sustained it somehow, looking back on it now, I would have done it. We couldn't sustain it. Um, but seeing those last few weeks, I mean, this is a woman that was struggling to wake up because of her depression, because some of the things that she was going through. But my kids are up at 6:30 a.m. every day, ready to go to school, getting breakfast, everything. And in the few weeks that she was here, she made it a goal to wake up with them, to see them off to school. And she would come out and watch them eat breakfast and watch them get ready for school, and then she would go back to sleep, Um, but man, seeing that commitment from her, seeing how happy she was, and she was walking with a walker for a while too. It was just like she had this like boost of energy out of nowhere. for the weeks that she lived here. And I think it was because she wanted to show up for my kids. And I'm so glad that she got to do that, because I got to relive some really good time with my mom. Oh, um, so I want to do something as we kind of finish up this episode. I want to give some specific honor to my mom. I want to tell her how much I loved her. Mom, you were absolutely amazing. And I know you're sitting on this side of heaven, just with Jesus, and I know how healed and happy and healthy and strong you are now. And I'm thankful for that. But I also just want to say thank you for being an amazing mom who loved me unconditionally, who, as terrified as you were to let me get hurt, you let me wrestle, which changed my life. You let me, um, go into a fraternity for whatever reason that was. But you supported me through everything. And I'm so thankful for that. I will do my very best to carry on the things that you taught me, the way that you loved me, the way that you interacted with my friends, with my kids. I will do my best to emulate that as I walk through my life. But I just want to tell you thank you for everything that you did in the 35 years of my life. This episode is for you. Listen, if you if you're not a subscriber or anything of the episode yet, I would encourage you to do so. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the like and comments, and just do all this. Share this with another dad. If you are going through loss, or if you've experienced it in any way, shape, or form, leave comments below to encourage others that may be doing that. One thing that I have learned, and especially from my mom, was that your experiences teach someone else something. And the amount of people that I've had reach out and say, hey, I lost my mom 10 years ago, or hey, I've been through this, like, let me know if you need anything. First of all, thank you guys for that. But secondly, just understanding what people have gone through, understanding what people are doing, and how they're coping with it, knowing that you're not alone is very impactful. So if you have suffered loss, if you are grieving in a situation of any sort, please join the community. Please comment below, so we can help support you in this. We're on all the social media channels. We're on TikTok and Instagram. We're working on creating a Facebook community page. We do have a newsletter. All the links are below here in the show notes. But one thing that I do ask is, as you share this episode or share clips of it or whatever, just share one thing that your parents have taught you. Um, and just give your parents a hug. Tell them that you love them as much as you can, because one day they're not going to be here anymore. And that's going to be a hard day for you to deal with. If you need to have restoration with your parents of any sort, whether you had a bad childhood or it wasn't what you wanted it to be, like, make those amends now. Get those things done, because like I said, one day they aren't going to be here. And forgiveness is a powerful weapon. Forgiveness is a very powerful weapon. So, like I said, follow all the things. Mom, you are my biggest supporter of this podcast. And I love you for that. And this whole journey, the podcast itself, I know I talk about how it was because I didn't have a dad, and I wanted to give resources, and I do want to do all those things. But I think subconsciously I'm doing this podcast because it's the way that I honor a legacy that my mom, that you left on me. And I'm thankful for that. Until next time, I love you guys, and I will see you later. Bye, everybody.